Howdy, y'all. So on the next episode of Ricky's Big World, we gonna spill all the tea. All of a sudden, he pulls out all these candles and this chalk and everything else, and he starts doing pentagrams on the thing. And I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm gonna call us up a demon."
Back in the pizza world caverns, behind the test ovens, and in reality next to the bathrooms, it's Ricky's Big World.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Ricky's Big World. What are you doing?
Pressing buttons.
Pressing buttons. Always pressing buttons. So where's my cup at? What did Bob do with my cup?
I'm told he is taking care of it.
I'm a little scared on the whole taking care of it thing. So, all right. You were asking me something about something earlier before we got on the air about me or whatever. What were you asking me?
I want to know more about you. Growing up and like your life before, because we've talked about how you got into radio.
Okay.
We've talked about how you've lost your legs. We've talked about how you got into movies and film.
You talk about why I'm scared of snakes? I think we did.
We've discussed alligators and snakes. Yep. Oh, I got my own bowl.
No, I need to see what he did with my cup because he did something to my cup. Okay, remember in the last episode that we did, I had this really nice drawing thing that I did because y'all evidently couldn't do nothing for me? Look at what he did.
I think you might have left an impression after episode 10.
Yeah, I was in a hangry mood, so you know. Okay, so you want to know more. All right, so how far back you want to go?
All the way back.
All the way back. Mm-hmm. I was a gleam in my daddy's eye. And all right, so first of all, we got to talk about this pasta. What, buffalo?
Yeah, so we talked about this last episode. So this is buffalo chicken pasta.
That's actually good.
This isn't on our menu, but you can always ask for it.
That's actually good.
You can put anything you want inside pastas.
That's really good. Hold on, good. We said it.
That is really good.
Wow. That's really good. All right. So I was raised in Columbus, Georgia. And I was raised in the projects in Columbus, Georgia, man, where we ate government cheese and generic white bread. And if you want a new ketchup, you better make sure you pour half water into the container so you can have a full bottle of ketchup again. We didn't do milk for cereal. We had to do water. So yeah, and I lived in Wilson Apartments. And if you go to Wilson Apartments now, they try to Bob, this is good. Usually a thank you is appropriate, but I'm just trying to say this is really good. There you go.
Where's he going, Shader?
Oh, you didn't say thank you when I gave you a compliment.
That's because I didn't hear you. When you repeated it, I did.
Oh, well, let's check him.
He's throwing shade.
You know, it's just people not born in the South. You know, we got to retrain them. But no, that's really good. I like it a lot. It's got just enough kick, but not too much.
Yeah, it's really well balanced.
Mm-hmm. So, all right, where was I? Oh, so Wilson Apartments. You look at Wilson Apartment in Columbus, Georgia now, then they try to church it up a little bit by putting a new paint and new this and new that. It's still every weekend, every day, the po-po there. And because somebody did something. So I grew up with my second family, my big mama, and all her 6 kids with everybody else in a shotgun house, which is a 2-bedroom. Really, it's 1 bedroom. They turned another room into a bedroom. In the very back, which is the laundry room, so-called. And I want you to think about this. There was Big Mama, her husband, Jack, all the 6 kids, so that's 8 right there. Then I would come in there and I spend the weekend with them or spend the night, whatever it is, and I'm a little kid. We all had to share the same bathwater. So, because they didn't have evidently, they didn't pay the gas bill or whatever it was. I forgot what it was. But they would take a big old crock pot, or not crock pot, but big old stock pot, fill it with water, put it on the stove, heat that up, and then pour it all into the tub. And then grown folks took their baths first, and then it went by age. Well, I was second to last. By the time you got in that water, it was dark. So there was that. We had the paper food stamps. I remember paper food stamps because I hated those things. I hated going to the store and for my mama or with mama with them. I mean, it was life, but you had these paper food stamps, and they're like, okay, well, this is going to be this much. You hand them food stamps. They'll give you change back, but they won't give you dollar bills back. So it's always the quarters and the nickels and all that. And so I remember one time, nobody knew that we were that poor. And I saw one of my buddies, or I'd be honest with you, I couldn't stand the boy. But he saw me at the grocery store. He saw me paying with the food stamp. He started laughing. He went to school, told everybody. And
That's so sad.
yeah, it's kids, whatever, And my mom always raised me to where I was, she'd always be proud of who you are, not your situation.
Yeah, for sure.
So he got a little beat down though later. So. What? You ate that already?
Yes. It was so good. I finished it.
I see that. Trying to eat mine, but
It's hard because you got to tell a story. I just get to sit back and listen.
Well, I'm gonna let you ask me questions while I'm eating.
Ask you questions.
Let's see if you're paying attention. What was the name of the apartment complex I lived in?
Wilson.
Dang. Okay, no.
Yeah. See how fast it is.
Bad, that's right.
You think I don't pay attention over here?
I do. I don't think she pays attention at all.
No, I think we learned from last episode I pay attention.
Okay.
It's good though, huh?
That was phenomenal. All right, what were we talking about?
So what were you like in school?
Okay, and I don't want to bring this down or anything. I'm just... When I was 11 years old, I had a horrible thing happen to me. And from 10 to about 15, 16 years old, I had this continuous abuse that happened. All right, and I don't want to get into it right now, but I'm just saying that affected me in school a lot. And so I became more shy. I didn't want to do anything. Didn't want to all this other stuff. But I did have a couple of friends that were good. In fact, we formed a little rap band too, because I was like, we were doing it.
That's awesome.
I can't do it now, especially with cheesy stuff in my throat. So anyway, school was pretty good. It wasn't too bad. I made it what it was, but Jennifer noticed it because Jennifer and I had started. I first met her at Daniel Junior High School.
Oh, so you've known her since junior
Oh
high.
yeah, I walked into the band room because we had band that morning. And I saw her first day of class. I fell in love. She leaned up against that piano. I got bubble gut. Hold on. Good Lord. All right. She leaned up against that piano, and those eyes just caught me. And then
I love that you remember the first moment you saw her. That's so cute.
It ain't cute. I'm just saying it is what it.
It's cute.
So, but she wouldn't have nothing to do with me because I was like, hey, let's go out, and let's go to the Bradley Teen Center. There's a teen center that used to be an old theater. They turned into a teen club, and so we could go out there and stay till 11 o'clock and dance, and it was back in the 80s. So we but she's like, I like you as a friend. I want nothing to do with you like that. We just be friends. That's okay. All right. So I still loved her. And then I moved away and went to Colorado. And I came back. And I used to call her every summer. every day, every summer. I call her. And we just sit there, and she get mad at me because every time I called, she was always outside sunning with her cousin. And so she come in, of course, no cell phones. She had that phone on the wall and with a big long cord. And so we chit-chat a little bit. And then I quit calling because I moved to Colorado, and I didn't think I still had her number. And so then I moved back, and high school came about. And I started working at my first legitimate job. And when I say legitimate, I mean they took taxes out, because before, all the other jobs I had were under the table, and uncle's shop here and there, whatever. So we go, and I get there, and I start working at this place called Substation. And Substation was just a sandwich shop, and I made $3.35 an hour. And when I became manager, I thought I was big time, making $3.80 an hour. All right, but I lived at my mama's house. What did I need money for? And so I told her I was in town. She came over there because she had her little job, and we hugged each other, and that was it. Fell in love. We went to rival schools, too. I went to Hardaway High. She went to Columbus High School, and huge rival schools, baseball, football, everything was rival. And we started dating October 22nd, 1990.
It's my birthday. Not 1990, but October 22nd.
October 22nd, is it? That's a special day. And we dated for 4 years. We were engaged a year and a half. We were married in 1994, May 14th, 1994. And we just celebrated our 30th anniversary.
Wow.
And did I talk about that in another episode, though?
Yeah, you
Y'all,
talked about it a little bit in our Mother's Day episode.
I forget. Anyway. So, and then 2 years later, we had our daughter in 96. We did everything by the Southern book. Okay. Now, that's with Jennifer. Let's go on back a bit, because we're talking about the projects. And I miss that government cheese like you wouldn't believe.
Really?
I remember we used to have...
Is that nostalgic?
Huh? It is nostalgic. Because I remember we used to have to go to this one particular place where everybody had to line up and get their voucher, and then they had to get the cheese and the eggs, and kind of like the WIC program, but they didn't deliver it to you. You had to go get it. And so you had this big old block of cheese like this big that came in like a cardboard box, and the lid lifts up, and it was so heavy that I couldn't carry it. And one of the things that my grandmama always said was, whenever we went to leave the house, go ahead and lock the door, but put the government cheese right next to the door so that nobody can get into the house. It was a great door stop, yeah.
That's crazy.
And they would make great grilled cheese sandwiches. It was phenomenal. In fact, we used to use an iron. We'd have one iron for clothes, and we have another iron for the grilled cheese sandwiches. And a lot of times you put you take the end of it, and you take the steamer and you put it on there, and to melt the cheese off of it, and then you scrape it up, put it on your sandwich or whatever. We also would have black eyed pea patties. You ever had those?
No.
All right, so a black eyed pea patty is you take flour, and flour especially back then, was like cheap. You buy a 5-pound bag for like 85 cents.
Wow.
And so you take your flour and you take cooked black eyed peas, and you put it into the flour, and then you just take your fingers and you mold it into these little patties, and then you grill it in a pan. And that was a cheap, inexpensive way to eat. And a lot of times that was all the kind of money that we had.
Yeah.
Is to eat that kind of stuff. But as far as the food stamp, man, let me tell you something. My big mama, I love Big Mama. She's still around, and she's still honorary as can be. And we used to take a trip. Now, Atlanta was 100 miles, or is 100 miles from Columbus, Georgia, north. And we would all pile up in the car, drive all the way to Atlanta. We'd go to the nail salon, and they would exchange 70 cents on the dollar for cash for the food stamps. And then the Korean nail shop would sell the food stamps for more than that.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And I remember one time we were there, and they had actually said, "Would you like to have your hair did?" And she's like, "No, I'm not spending. You gonna give it to me for free? I came all the way up here." She said, "No, but I just gave you 70 cents on the dollar, so you know what? You can afford it." Because everybody pulled their food stamps in together to go up there.
Yeah.
Because they were cracking down on it down in Columbus.
Oh, okay.
So it was, it was wild. It was really wild growing up. And then we got those projects and moved to Bibb City, which is used to be its own city, but Columbus, Georgia, Columbus had engulfed it,
Okay.
but it's right on the Chattahoochee River, and but it's just a small little village basically. And I grew up there, and that was where the snake situation happened. Did I tell you about that one? I think I did. That why I'm scared of snakes now. Okay, so there's that, and it's just I grew up on the river. I consider myself a river rat, and go down to the river and fishing all the time. I was always, we found that sewer, went down to the sewer, had that adventure.
You mentioned that briefly when we were talking about like your family and growing up there, and I think we almost talked about like it was kind of a Goonies like experience, but you never told us exactly what happened.
I'm so sorry.
It's so
Okay.
good. It's so good though, huh?
All right. So we found, actually, my buddy Rodney, he found way deep into the woods this opening to the sewer system. I mean, it was hidden. So we found it. We all decided, hey, great idea. Let's open up the lid. Go on down there. So we did. We there were like 1, 2, 3, 6, 5 or 6 of us. And then we went down into it. Dark as mess. And I forgot who was it. One of us had a flashlight, and we're walking, and we didn't realize we went to downtown Columbus, Georgia. And where we were was like way north. We wound up going all the way down.
Wow.
So when we get down there, we're exploring all. We had to leave, so we went back several times. That was our secret hideout. Now
Yeah.
nobody. Well, then there was the rumors of the alligator being in the sewers, so we had to really watch it because we did have, and still do have, a lot of alligators and crocodiles in the Chattahoochee River, along with pythons, water moccasins, and somebody even said maybe anaconda too because they were let go.
That's insane.
Dinosaur land. That's why I keep
know.
telling you, dinosaur land. All right, so one day we went down there, and I noticed one of our friends had a big old backpack full of stuff. It was clanking all over the place. We get down there. He says, hey, let's set up right here. All of a sudden, he pulls out all these candles and this chalk and everything else, and he starts doing pentagrams on the thing. And I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm going to call us up a demon. And I was like, what you mean you calling up a demon? Now, I'm ignorant because I'm like, no. I grew up in the Baptist church. We don't do that. So he goes and he starts, sitting there chanting. He got this book out, and he's like, shaka laka boom boom, dang it, all this other stuff, right? Eyes rolling, all of this stuff. All of a sudden, now again, you got to remember, we're underground, and there's no windows, no other doors, no nothing. All of a sudden, we feel the wind picking up, and we can see.
That's so creepy.
We had some scary music in the background. The wind was picking up. We saw, like, how you walk and your feet are wet, you pick up leaves, whatever. We saw some leaves and stuff starting to go, and it was going around in circles. All of a sudden, we hear, no. And the candles go out. You talking about 6 teenage little kid boy things running and hightailing it.
I would run too.
We ran hotel, but I can remember that voice today, like it was yesterday, or somebody sitting right next to me doing it, because I said, you know what, we ain't never gonna touch the devil no more. We ain't trying to open up no gates and wormholes to another dimension. No, we ain't doing that no more. And I told that boy, I said, which I knew him a little bit, and we just kind of let him in our little circle.
Yeah.
But I told him, I said, you ain't coming back. We ain't doing that. So what I did is I talked to my grandmama. My grandmama was a Santeurian, and she knows all the voodoos and everything else, voodoo priestess. And she told me, she said, let's go on over there, baby. Because she couldn't climb in there, but she drove me back over there and walked me as far as she could go. And she told me what to do with some sage and some blessings that she did. So we went down there again, and we blessed the whole thing. It was like, and never went back down there again.
Oh, I bet.
Never.
I would have been terrified.
I was terrified. I didn't go home that night because I thought whatever did that was going to follow me home.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
So hold on, I got another bite. This is going to make me breathe heavy. Hold on. It's so good.
It is one of my favorite perks of this podcast.
You say the perk? Well, I noticed how nice he was putting your plate and everything down so nicely. He just flops mine down. So
It might take another episode or two to get over episode 10.
why you say that? I thought episode 10 was great.
Football.
Okay, I'll admit
It got personal.
I was hangry. All right, I apologize. I didn't realize I was hangry, but I had not eaten all day, and I've been up since 2:30 in the morning.
I know. And then you come over here and you do the podcast.
And I come over here when all I want to do is go to sleep. But I love doing the podcast. I love all my family watching. But, cut me a little slack here. At least I ain't stabbed nobody.
We just like to give you a hard time because we're family.
I didn't take my leg off and beat on nobody. I mean, I could have easily done that. These things are detachable. These are weapons. Okay? Titanium, carbon fiber. Do what?
I never thought about that, but it's a good idea.
Why you think when I go through?
Emergency.
Why you think when I go through the airport they want to make sure I don't have no bombs or something on me?
Do they They don't make you take off your legs or anything, do they?
That's the weird thing. I've never been asked to take my legs off. Uh-oh. So what they do with the airport is they don't ask me to take my legs off, which is crazy. I've even offered. I said, you want me to just take my legs off, make it easy? No. What they do is they swab it, and then they put it in this thing, and they can tell whether or not I got a bomb and stuff. I made a mistake of joking. And I said, well, it's a good thing you look inside because, you never know what I can fit in this thing. That guy gave me the left eye shakedown. I said, I'm just playing. So I chose to take my legs off. And I took both of them off. I'm sitting down and shook them. And I said, look, nothing falling out. Look inside. Smell it. It smelled like funk because, my musky. When I sweat, I'm a man. So... And he went to go, ooh, yeah, nothing in there. Nothing to live in that. So that was it. So every time I go to the airport, my legs never get taken off. Hardly. Just that one time, and I volunteered to do it. So, interesting, that's it.
I mean, it is. Airport security is, way crazy. So.
I enjoy flying, depends on the airline. There's some airlines I don't because the room isn't there. I don't like being squished up because it hurts my legs for that long. I love the exit seat, but they won't let me sit in the exit seats no more.
Unfortunate.
It is because that's a lot of room. Hello, sir.
Yes.
Who are you asking?
Poor baby recognized she was scared.
Your mammy.
No. From your movie role in Intent Unknown. I think you're sad.
Why he got to bring that up? We're having a lovely time with this podcast. He bring up Intent Unknown. You believe that? That was a great movie.
How famous you are.
Anyway.
It was a good role.
Airline.
You did a great job in that role.
Airline. We're talking about airline.
Sorry.
We're talking about the airline.
Well, before that, we were talking about spooky spirits.
Spooky spirit, that's right.
And
but now we're talking about
growing
airline.
up.
So, depends on the airline. I actually prefer to drive wherever I go. Let me rent a car and
It's
go.
just more comfortable.
It's more comfortable. I can do what I want to do.
Yeah.
and stop when I want to stop. I just actually had to go down to Georgia because of a funeral.
Yeah.
So, and that that was an experience right there. Them people got on my nerves, but
At the funeral?
yeah, the funeral. Look, I'm gonna go ahead and say this because I know my family watches this podcast sometimes. What you want? He just knows it. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell my family in case y'all watch this. I love y'all, but y'all brought a lot of drama to the funeral, okay? And what got me was some people didn't even show up. I went down there as a surprise. Nobody knew I was coming down. It's just the bickering, the arguing, and this. My auntie from Maine came down. My auntie from Florida was coming. My auntie that lives in Columbus, everything. My cousins, this. It was drama, and but it was for my uncle.
Oh.
And we can get into that in another episode if you want to, but it just.
Not Uncle Pork Bottoms?
No, different
Okay.
side of the family.
I just want to clear that up for our podcast fam.
Uncle Pork Bottoms does not do funerals. He says close thing to a cremation he does is some pork rinds. He says
Fair enough. I'm still dying to his pork rinds.
oh,
The
they're
way you
so
talk
good.
about it. Like every time you mention them, I'm like.
Well,
I
he
hate this.
infuses the Earl. I'm sorry, that's Southern speak for oil. He infuses the Earl with the spices and everything else. So he gets all that in there, and then he throws the pork rind or the porks in there, whatever that he's using, and it pops right
He
instant.
said sometimes he'll do like barbecue sauce,
Mhm.
and then sometimes he'll do like for Christmas. He said he'll do like the cinnamon sugar.
Yeah, but he has 1, 2, 3, 4 different walks.
Okay.
Okay, so when he does his main pork rinds, it's the big, huge walks, like that size of like 2 of these tables. All right, I don't know where he gets them from, and then the other ones he doesn't want to use them, but just for the barbecue or just for the cinnamon, he'll do the smaller ones, which are about the size of this one table. But what he'll do is he'll fry up his pork, the pork rinds, but he only do it like halfway. And then he'll pick them all up. He's got this big colander spoon, like about this big, and it's a regular spoon with holes all in it. So he'll scoop all that up, and it drains it out. He'll put it into a huge bowl that's got barbecue sauce just already in it. And then he'll swirl it. Then he takes it, and he'll dump it back into the hot grease of the wok. And then finishes it up. Phenomenal. The cinnamon one.
Maybe we should go on location there just
Okay.
so I can try.
They ain't hurt my feelings none. He already told me I was in timeout though from pork rinds
Why?
because I made him mad. I didn't like
I
that.
didn't make him mad.
No, you didn't. But
Could
he's
I
gonna
get-
associate you with me. And if I can't get him, you definitely gonna get him.
If he listens to some of our episodes, maybe he won't associate me with you.
Uncle Pork Bottoms, if you watching, he don't give her none. Don't give her none of them pork rinds.
I would appreciate it. I'm just saying.
No, he mad at me right now because I defended my Auntie Big Toe from him. So you don't want to talk to me right now.
You're really excited about the pork rinds when I hit the camera again.
Do what?
I said I got really excited about the pork rinds and I hit the camera again.
You hit the camera?
Yeah.
Did you turn it off?
No, it just started to come towards you.
Oh,
They
I
got
didn't
a
even see
close-up.
that.
They got a zoom.
You got. I have noticed you do zoom me sometimes.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Okay.
Sometimes it's funny.
Okay, it's funny. All right. Yeah, like whenever you had me yelling and getting angry about the chicken, that you saying I can't have no chicken. That irritated me.
I've never said that since.
No, exactly. No, exactly. You see, you learned a lesson. At that. So what else?
So you were talking about growing up, and let's back up to before we started talking about the tunnel. So you were kind of talking about growing up with your friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Goonies. Yeah, the outsiders, whatever. You know, everybody had their own personality. The one thing about living in especially in the South, is that, did I just touch your foot? Oh, okay.
No, that's the table.
Oh, I can still somewhat feel things with my prosthetic legs, but I couldn't tell.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's crazy. I can.
Yeah, it's the table leg that you're.
All right. So, the one thing about living in the South, especially, is that whenever you find out you get in trouble from school, by the time you get home, you done had your rear end beat by every big mama along the way, and then you get home, and your mama beat you.
So the whole community is just like a big family.
Takes a village to raise a child, and that's it right there. And so I remember one time. I remember when I got paddled at school by my principal.
Pause. You got paddled at school?
Yes, I got paddled at school. I thought
They
I talked
had
to
paddling at your school?
Yes, my principal paddled me.
Oh,
You
my goodness.
You know that? Okay, so I was in elementary school, and one of the other boys and I, we were playing around with doing your mama jokes, and one of them was like, you know, your mama's so ugly that she used the microwave for a facial, something like that. He didn't like hearing that. He was like, that's disrespectful to your mama. So he pulls us into his office, and he calls both our mamas and says, I can whip him now or wait until he gets home, but he's got to go home now. My mama's like, I'm not leaving my job. Go ahead and paddle him now. So Mr. Grimes had this paddle this big with holes in it for wind resistance, so that it just swing real easy. He takes me. He says, son, he said, you gotta learn respect. So he leans me over his desk, and he plays baseball. He says, all right, batter, up one. And he says, he swings the thing, it doesn't hit me. He says, oh, strike one. Then he does it again, batter. We're up number 2. Then he goes and swings, he doesn't hit. He says, oh, strike 2. Then he does it a third time. Oh, he hit that one. That's a home run. Pow, pow, pow. 3 times on my rear end. And I was a big man. And I was mad because when he said, I'm going to call your mama, I said, call my mama. She ain't going to do nothing. Or, you know, she ain't going to give you permission to beat me. I'm her baby. Are you kidding me? Wrong. She gave that man permission. Go ahead. Tear his up. He sure did. And I went home, and by the time I got home, I walked home holding my rear end in my hand going, what's wrong with you? You look terrible. And Miss Patterson was sitting on her porch, and she said, what's wrong, Ricky? And I said, nothing. You got paddled in at school. Yes, ma'am. Oh, okay, what'd you do? Never mind, don't worry about it. I already know. I know before you did. And she said, come over here. And I had to get a lecture from her. She said, where did he paddle you at? And I said, on my butt. And she said, good. She took that switch out, and she got my legs. I had jeans on, but she still got my legs. She said, don't you do that again. You better not talk about nobody mama again. Go down the road. Here comes somebody else sitting on the porch. I heard you got paddled. I mean, but they knew before my mama did. Basically, even though she's the one that gave the permission. And then I get all the way back to my home. My mama already at home, waiting on me with a belt. She said, okay, you got that paddle, and now you got mama's special paddle. She started, and she's the one that'll sing to you while she's paddling. She'll hold that arm up. I told you not to get yourself in trouble. You know, you can do a beat to it. I told you. See what I'm saying?
Wow.
Got to toe up. Then my respect for women is like way up here. I don't do your mama jokes no more.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got paddled.
It's crazy to me, the psychological...
Ain't no psychological.
No, not that. I mean, not about the principal. When he was like, strike one, strike... That's psychological. He was psyching you out.
Yeah, that was warfare right there.
Wound up for that.
He was ex-Marine, I believe.
Yeah.
So, you know...
That's, out of all that whole story, that's what I was like, he did a strike 1 and a strike 2. I was like, that's messed.
He played baseball. Now, the other kid went home. He didn't get paddling because his mama did not get permission. My mama was the one that did that. I was so mad at her. I was so hot mad at her. But as I grew up, I realized I needed it. I needed to learn not to do that, not to get attitude at that moment. My mama was the type that if I acted up in the grocery store, she'd lay me out there. She would not wait until we got in the car, wait for them prying eyes, wait until we get to the house. No. She'd tear my rear end up right there in front of God and everybody and tell them I'll make another one look just like you. Goodbye.
She meant business.
Mama was raw. Donna was raw. And she said, that's my job, make sure you get through life. She said, you ain't going to be no burden on nobody. And that's it. That's kind of raising I got. Hardcore. But she wanted me out of the projects. She did not want me living off of other people. She did not want me living with failure. Even when I doubted myself and I wanted to quit school, she said, She said, if you quit school and live in my house, you got to work 2 to 3 jobs. You cannot just sit here and do nothing. She said, you can go to school and live here for free. And of course, I went to high school and did that. But I quit high school in 12th grade, went and got a GED, and then because I thought I was bored with school, I didn't want it anymore. I go and get a GED, and then I saw my other friends were going to graduate, and I wanted to do that, so I went back to high school. So I actually have a high school diploma and a GED.
Oh, wow.
Why they let me have both, I don't know. I can't find either one. So, and then I questioned about going to college, and it was my mama who said, "You're going to go to college. That's my rule. You know, you cannot breathe on this planet until you go to college." So, I had doubts I could even get in. And I went to Columbus College. Now it's Columbus State University, but I started there in 1991. And I was pre-med biology, and I did have some issues getting in because I had to take remedial reading, remedial math, because of the issues that I had between 10 to 16. I skipped a lot of school because of the abuse that was going on. It's a lot of abuse.
Makes sense.
And so I decided that, okay, we're going to go anyway. I took the classes. Miss Purnell, who was a professor there, taught reading. I see her to this day. In fact, last time I was in Columbus, I have a video of her seeing my big mama.
That's so cool.
And thank you. It really is, because I've got that bond with her and everything else. So it's just because I saw that Miss Purnell was wanting to help, and I didn't see that throughout junior high school and high school. She in college said, we all have problems, but you are able to find a solution to everything.
Yeah.
And you are not your past. And that spoke volumes to me. So, yeah. But.
Well, I don't want to get all gushy on you, but.
Is you about to cry, girl? Don't be crying on me, what?
But, what a life you've led. You know what I mean? We've discussed your life in detail, obviously, but
not really.
I mean,
there's a lot more.
In fact, people kind of understand, where you started and things that you've done for your career and stuff, and you got out of the projects. You didn't depend on anybody. Just you wanted. And look at the life you've led because of that. Crazy, radio, film, yes, you've lost your legs, but we also had that talk about how much it changed your life and your perspective.
Yes.
That's so cool. This is one of the reasons we love you, though.
You did get gushy, and I don't appreciate the gushy.
But you're a remarkable person.
I don't. Really are. No, I'm just a plain old
fascinating
Southern boy, average Joe. Now, my career choice seems more glamorous than what it really is, especially getting up at 2:30 in the morning and go to work.
Yeah.
So, but as far as that, just plain old river rat from Columbus, Georgia.
Yeah, but like that community you grew up, like that translates even with your radio job. You know what I mean? Like, you're very community based,
Yes.
and you make that like a point. And I mean, your connections, like everybody seems to know you. You're so involved, like that sense of
Who
community.
you been talking to?
That sense of community is really, you know,
It's.
it's followed you wherever you've gone. I guess.
I think one of my biggest things is, and thank you for that. That's really kind of you. But I think one of my biggest things is I don't want to see others go through what I went through. From the abuse that I had to go through, from that. Even my own daughter. We fought. Jennifer and I both kind of come from the same background, and we fought so hard to get out of that environment and projects and all that, we didn't expose that to our kid. And I think maybe we should have a little bit, because, sometimes I think maybe she takes advantage a little bit of the simple fact that she didn't grow up like that. And, but I also don't believe in spoiling kids either. No, I don't spoil kids. I see these little kids at the grocery store, and I saw this one little kid, and please forgive me. I saw this one little kid, and she called her mama by her first name, and I know if I had called my mama by her first name, my left side of my face would have been to the far right in the next room. She would have told me up. And I saw this little child who she said, Debbie, I don't like that, and I don't want it. And I looked over at Debbie, and I said, Debbie, you gonna let that child talk to you like that? And she said, she's just playing. She's just always funny like that. I said, all right, you know what? Funny child gonna be an in-jail adult. So you go right ahead, because I know my tax dollars better not pay for her prosecutor or a defendant or whoever, defendant's attorney. That's it, defense attorney. I know my tax dollars better not pay for that later on. And I said, you need to tear it up now, before she started doing this. Something. She's like maybe 8 years old. She called her mama Debbie. Like I said, I would not be breathing right now if I said that to my mama.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned like you didn't want your child to grow up like that, and completely understandable.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, well, should they a little bit, because they take. But I think like the stories, like you opening up and being vulnerable about things that have happened to you and how you grew up, I think we'll never understand on the same level, obviously, but like there's empathy there, and there's growth that you can learn, that people can learn from your experience and make different choices.
Well,
So I think it's important that you talk about it. I got gushy on you.
I can see that it's hard to talk about some of the things because it relives things.
Sure.
And I'm one of those, I don't like to focus on the past. I want to just focus on the present and go and move on.
Yeah.
And so bringing some of that up,
Which I think like in your everyday is
good.
super important. Like for everything that you've gone through, I think it's very important to be present, enjoying life where
Yeah.
you're at now and moving forward. But I do think like some of those stories are important for people to learn.
Okay, I can see that. I mean,
That's why I like going through these things. Like, when we talk about like you losing your legs and your
she
toe
back to the legs now.
snapping
Go ahead.
off, and
Well,
that's
okay.
an important lesson for people to learn to go to the doctor.
And I can't believe you actually put that on that episode talking about his toe snapped off. I mean,
I think it was because of my general my authentic reaction to it, where I was like, this needs to be.
we can dive into more next time, because I haven't even talked about going to India. So look here, thank you so much for joining me in another episode of Ricky's Big World. I'll leave the porch light on. Just come on up. Thank you so much. Till next time.